Welcome back to Monster Month here on Horror Month on Box Office Maniacs. That's a lot of things to say. So here on Monster Month tonight, I am going to be reviewing the figure of Freddy from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. Now, I was talking about how cool the poster was for Part 2. This is just as cool. They really were just knocking out back then with just the really imaginative, cool posters. And this sets up the whole creepiness of Freddy, of where you have his face on this side, and it kind of fogs out on this side with his eyeball, so it's kind of almost skull-like. And then you have all the people standing on his blades. Just a really, really great cover. Inside, you have pictures of Freddy from Part 3. This is the figure, obviously. And I don't want to show the figure too much, because I don't want to spoil it for you until I open it up. But on the back of it is another really cool cover that they did. It's from the end of the film, if you haven't seen it, spoilers, of the mirrors. So that's kind of cool how they did that. Alright, so this is from Neca, and all these Freddys I've been reviewing lately have been from Neca. And let's open up A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warrior Freddy. As always, the sculpt never disappoints on these Neca figures. The sculpt on these things are always spectacular. The problem lies within the joints of these figures. And as soon as I took Freddy out of the package, I noticed once again his hip joints are just way too loose. They are almost broken, it seems like. And the bottom of his, I guess you'd call his crotch area, is actually broken. And I'll show you that in a minute. But first, let's take a look at this sculpt. Just an unbelievable job on the painting and the sculpting of his head. I mean, there's so much detail that goes on in here. And this is one of my favorite Freddy makeups. This one and Part 4 are two of my favorites. I think Part 4 is probably my favorite, but Part 3 here, it comes a real close second. Now, just like all the Freddys, his sweater is extremely detailed, from the holes down there on the bottom to all of the stitching and the folds in the fabric. It looks fantastic. His claw here looks good too, except his actual knives, his razors, are kind of bent. But the good thing is these are made out of rubber. I know some of the earlier figures, they were hard plastic, so when he fell off the shelf, these would just like snap in half. So they kind of learned, I guess, to make them more rubbery. But by doing that, you can see, you know, they do kind of bend, but you can bend them back into place. But as for the detail here on the gloves, you can see all of his fingers inside of the finger knives holes, I guess you could say. And it looks like they're almost like bloody inside of there. It's really nice. Something's going on with the fingers on this hand. I'm not exactly sure what's happening there. And now we get to his crotch. You know, everybody's favorite part of Freddy. So you can just see, I mean, I can just move these hip joints and you can see what I'm talking about. They're just as loose as you can possibly get. And when I was looking at it and you turn it upside down, this is actually broken down here. And these figures, they do cost a lot. I think this guy was like in the $20s or $30 range, probably around more $30 range. But yeah, you buy, you know, for quality, and I'm sorry, Neca, this is not quality. This is not a quality figure when half of the figure is actually just coming apart here and broken. I know this is probably not a position you'd ever want to see Freddy in, but, you know, I want to show you that this is just not a quality figure, Neca. Look at this. The whole thing is literally just coming apart there. But as for the rest of the figure, it's fine. The hip joints don't really affect him standing too bad. Over time, I think if he fell off a shelf or if he got hit or he got knocked down, that would probably be the first thing to break, would be the hip joints. So this Freddy, like Part 2 and Part 1, these are the special edition Freddys, the Ultimate Collections or whatever they're calling them nowadays, come with a ton of cool extras. So let's take a look at them now. So this is the alternate head they have for Freddy on this figure. And it's nice. It's the head from the end of the film, obviously, when he gets the cross burnt into his forehead. And when I first opened this up, I saw this on the back of the head when I first opened it up. And I was like, is this a button? Can you push this button? Is it going to light it up? That's going to be super cool. No, nothing quite that cool. but it actually does something kind of cool. Don't really like the big, open, clear hole in the back of his head. But I'm assuming that's the only way they could probably do it, unless they had a button that you could have pushed and lit it up. But what this does is if you put it behind the light, which I'm going to do right now. So when you put it behind the light, it does this, which is pretty cool. It lights it up really good, as you can see. But I don't know how many people will just have a spare light to put behind their figure to light this up. And the light actually has to be directly behind the head in order to light up. You move it away and it does this. So even though I have a ton of light source on this right now, there's nothing directly shining behind his head, so that's why you don't get the glow effect. But still, you know, it's kind of cool that they went the extra mile to give us the clear headed back Freddy that lights up the cross. Next up is this. And this is pretty cool, even though, you know, I think they could have probably done a little bit better job with this. As you can see, it's kind of bent a little bit here. But this was the house that she was making in the beginning of part 3 with popsicle sticks. And I kind of like the fact that they didn't finish the house, because in the film, you know, she's using the popsicle sticks for the shingles and the windows and whatever, but looks like she made this out of paper mache and was just filling it in with popsicle sticks. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little extra that comes with the figure. Not really a great sculpt, I don't think, but it's still cool that they put it in there. Now you have this. This is Puppet Freddy. And again, I was kind of surprised they put this in with the figure. It's pretty awesome. You know, what I would like to see, and it probably, if they do release it, it'll be a figure on its own, is Skeleton Freddy from part 3. The end of part 3 where he becomes a skeleton. That's something that they could have put in this that would have really pushed it over the top. But his leg joints would probably be so weak in that, there's no way he would stand up. But this little guy, he's pretty cool. Sculpt here isn't bad. I mean, it looks like the movie, I guess. And what kind of surprised me is he does actually have articulation. His one arm moves, his head actually moves a little bit, and this arm here moves, but I'm really afraid of it breaking off, so I'm not going to touch it. He comes with this, and it's a little blood stain to help him stand up. Even with the blood stain, he doesn't stand too well. I managed to get him to stand for this review for a few seconds, but it took me a while to actually just to get him to stand without falling over. So, but the blood stain, without that, there's no way, I don't think this little guy would stand up on his own. He would just fall over. So now we come to the coolest extra out of all the extras that was included with this new Freddy, and it's the chest of souls, of course. So you got the faces coming out of his chest, and you got his shirt torn open, hanging on the side, and it's all hard plastic. Nothing moves here. The back of it, as you can see, has pegs on it where you can just push it in, where it'll go into his chest. So this was probably the way I'm going to display the figure, with the chest of souls. This face here is really nice down here on the bottom, and they're all really nice. I mean, this guy's screaming up here, and he's like, oh, you know. So yeah, a really, really good sculpt, fantastic sculpt chest, actually. So the last two extras we have are the needles from one of the dream sequences where Freddy sticks them in to the girl who is a drug addict, and he's like, let's get high. So again, really cool extra with the Freddy figure, and these are actually clear, so you can see through them. The details on these are both fantastic. You can see the little wires that are holding the things onto his fingers, and just the glove itself looks great, and I'm really happy that they included this with this figure. So this is Freddy without a chest. Pretty freaky. Yep, looks really weird without a chest. So we are going to put the chest of souls on Freddy now. Now this turned a really cool figure into a really, really cool figure. Wow, I mean, that is awesome. I haven't yet seen him with the chest on, but with the burn on his face and now his full chest exposed, wow, this just takes it to the next level. So yeah, this is incredible looking. I mean, I just wish it wasn't broken. I wish the hip joints were much tighter. But other than that, I mean, he does stand on his own for the most part right now until he falls over and breaks into 100 pieces. But yeah, this is a really great looking figure with a lot of flaws in it, which NECA seems to really excel at here recently. I don't remember the last figure I bought that didn't have loose hip joints or something had been broken on it. I actually think the last Freddy I had, the Part 2 one, was okay. But this guy, yeah, he is really just broken. So that being said, I still really love this figure. All the broken parts and everything. I think it's one of the cooler Freddy figures that I actually own. Of course, having an exposed chest of souls don't hurt it at all either. But yeah, wow, it looks really, really great. So if you're a Freddy fan, or a horror fan, or an action figure fan, or a horror movie fan, we have it all for you this month. All month long here on Monster Month, and on Horror Month, and on Box Office Maniacs. We got everything going on this month. So please, if you have not hit the subscribe button, we encourage all the maniacs out there who love this stuff to join us, because all month long, this is all you're going to get. It's more horror, more Freddy, more everything, and please join us for the madness that is Monster Month.